Hello everyone and welcome back to our channel. Today we're journeying back thousands of years to the land of ancient Egypt, a realm of golden sands and immense power, to uncover the incredible story of a man destined for greatness. Moses. In a time when Pharaoh ruled with an iron fist, the Israelites were enslaved, their lives filled with hardship. A terrible decree was issued. Every newborn Hebrew boy was to be cast into the Nile. But amidst this despair, a mother's love defied a king's command. She placed her baby boy in a woven basket and set him afloat on the river, entrusting his fate to the currents. Miraculously, the basket drifted right to the royal palace, where Pharaoh's own daughter discovered the child. Moved with compassion, she adopted him as her own, naming him Moses. She raised a prince, never suspecting he would one day challenge her father's empire. Moses grew up surrounded by the splendors of the Egyptian court, educated in all its wisdom. But his heart was never far from his own people, the Hebrew slaves. One fateful day, he witnessed an Egyptian mercilessly beating one of his brethren. In a fit of rage, Moses intervened and killed the Egyptian. News of his action reached Pharaoh, who sought to execute him. Moses had no choice but to flee. He escaped into the vast desert to the land of Midian. There he started a new, humbler life as a shepherd, marrying a local woman named Zipporah and finding peace in the quiet rhythms of the wilderness. Years passed. Then, one ordinary day while tending his flock near Mount Horeb, Moses saw something impossible: a bush engulfed in flames, yet not burning up. As he cautiously approached, a powerful voice called out from the fire, "Moses, Moses." It was the voice of God. "I have seen the suffering of my people in Egypt," the voice declared. "Go to Pharaoh and bring them out of slavery." Moses was filled with fear and doubt, feeling utterly unqualified for such a monumental task. But God reassured him, "I will be with you." To aid him, God appointed his own brother Aaron to be his spokesman. Armed with divine authority, Moses and Aaron returned to the heart of the empire they had fled. They stood before the mighty Pharaoh and delivered God's command, "Let my people go." But Pharaoh's heart was stubborn and proud. He refused. What followed was a terrifying display of divine power, the 10 plagues of Egypt. The life-giving Nile turned to blood, swarms of frogs and gnats descended, livestock died, painful boils afflicted the Egyptians. Devastating hail and locusts destroyed the crops, and a thick darkness fell over the land. Finally, the 10th and most terrible plague struck, claiming the firstborn of every Egyptian household. Only then, with his kingdom shattered, did Pharaoh finally relent and let the Israelites go. Their freedom was revived as the massive crowd of Israelites reached the shores of the Red Sea. They looked back in terror. Pharaoh had changed his mind and was pursuing them with his entire army of chariots, trapping them against the water. Despair swept through the people. But Moses, trusting in God's promise, raised his staff over the sea. In a breathtaking miracle, the waters parted, creating a dry path right through the middle of the sea. The Israelites rushed across. As the last one reached the other side, the Egyptian army charged into the seabed in pursuit. Moses lifted his staff again, and the walls of water crashed down, drowning Pharaoh and his entire army. Their journey, however, was far from over. For 40 long years, the Israelites wandered through the harsh Sinai desert. It was a period of immense testing and divine provision. When they were hungry, God sent down manna from heaven. When they were thirsty, He brought water gushing from a rock. It was during this time, atop the thundering peak of Mount Sinai, that Moses received the Ten Commandments, a moral and spiritual foundation for humanity. Yet the journey was difficult. The people often grumbled and lost faith, making Moses' leadership a heavy burden to carry. After 4 decades, they finally arrived at the border of Canaan, the promised land flowing with milk and honey. But Moses, due to a moment of disobedience, was not permitted to enter. His journey was at its end. He ascended Mount Nebo, where God allowed him to look out and see the beautiful land his people would inherit. There, at the age of 120, his great mission complete, Moses died. The scriptures say God Himself buried him in a secret valley, a final, intimate act for His faithful servant. And that is the epic story of Moses, a man who went from prince to fugitive, to prophet and liberator. Thank you so much for watching. If you found this story as fascinating as we do, please hit that like button and subscribe for more journeys into history. See you next time.